community that's been affected by a whole pile of climate changes. And I'm not just talking about the recent floods, I'm talking about over the last 10 years. We've never woken up to the sound of rain on our roof, but in the last 2 or 3 months, that's become normal.
I'm here at Oakey today to really talk about child and adolescent responses to the recent disasters. They're an area that aren't very well understood by either community members or professionals. And it's not just about post-traumatic stress disorder, it's about other anxiety disorders and depression in the aftermath of what Queenslanders have been through.
I've come up to Oakey today representing Beyond Blue. Beyond Blue, many people know, it's a national depression initiative, and its primary aim is really to raise awareness in the community about depression and anxiety and related disorders. In this context, we're hoping to assist the community in understanding more about the reactions that have happened post the disaster they've experienced.
I'm talking about change, in particular unchosen change. So my history is with the Building Rural Leaders program, and what we discovered there was that whether people survive, let alone prosper, depends on how well they can cope with change, how capable they are to adjust to the changes that life throws at them.
I'm Gary Hansford. I'm the community support worker at GP Connections, and I'm going to be doing a little talk at the end of the day on with a little bit more of a suicide prevention focus.
Often doctors and health professionals do get a bit fixated on symptoms and diagnoses, but natural disasters are interesting. They actually have societal effects as well, and sometimes there can be some unravelling of normal societal kind of mores and ways of kind of interacting. So we do find after natural disasters there is a small increase in alcohol use, in drug use, in things like relationship difficulties. There is increased risk of separation and divorce, and in fact domestic violence as well. There are various forms of coping, and some people's coping gets overwhelmed, and some of our friends and colleagues need help.
The issue with suicide is a very, very difficult issue to talk about in the community. People don't want to talk about it, people don't want to acknowledge it, and unfortunately that creates a situation where people who are moving on the continuum from severe depression towards suicide aren't identified and aren't getting the help they need. And so my talk is going to be is designed to encourage the members of the community to pay attention, be aware of and pay attention to the signs of that indicate there may be some suicidal tendencies. If we could get more people in our communities to be aware of the signs and to know what to do, to not be terrified into inaction, not to be frozen and not be able to do anything, then we go a long way towards helping people come down on that journey from suicide back to a less vulnerable state.
We developed some models based on the work of an American by the name of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, where she looked at the emotional reactions people have to grief. So we've extrapolated that to unchosen change in particular. So we've identified various stages that we go through and our reactions, and we've also identified that some of those are not good stages to make major decisions. And it's important in particular that we don't get stuck in any of them.
Our target group is key community members, so we hope to get people who are teachers and publicans and nurses and farmers and a range of people from the community. And we focus on helping them recognise the signs and symptoms of when people aren't coping quite so well following the disaster. So 3 months on, perhaps people are getting into a bit more difficulty, and we want to help people recognise when they are in trouble and give them some simple advice and strategies that might help them with their normal recovery.
Australian research actually leads the world in natural disasters, and we have several very large studies of 3,000, 4,000 children. So we actually know a lot about disasters and children. We know that 3 to 6 months after disasters, some children, depending on the disaster, 10 to 15%, are still very symptomatic and can benefit from an intervention. We also know that it's beyond children, that parents can get symptomatic, as well as parents can change their parenting practices. They can become persistently overprotective, for instance, and that demonstrates to children that the world is still a very unsafe place. So when we think about children, we shouldn't think that they're resilient, that they don't get symptoms. That's wrong. They actually do. And we should always conceptualise a child, you know, within the family kind of system, as well as within the local school and community systems. And you can have interventions at every level.
We find it's really critical in doing this sort of work that you actually partner up with an organisation like GP Connections, mostly because they're the people that have the local knowledge. They're there after we leave.
If there's any silver lining in this event, it is that we are starting to work together. There are lots of resources out there, but typically we work independently of each other, so perhaps we reinvent the wheel or duplicate effort. If we can come together like this, there are synergies, we maximise the effort. So I think it's particularly important, because if you believe the experts as far as climate change is concerned, there'll be more of these.
We've partnered today with Beyond Blue at the national level and the Mental Health Council of Australia, but we've also partnered with our local partners, with Lifeline. We've partnered with the Community Health Office out here in Toowoomba, and we focused with the community itself, with people out in the community like the Oakey Depression Group, the Depression Support Network, and other organisations in and around the region who have already got initiatives that are focused at the community level. What we want to do, what I'm looking for today, is to make a stronger connection between what's happening in the community and what's happening in both the primary care sector, our GPs and our nurses, and our acute care sector, which is our hospital systems.